I'm so excited to chat with Allie Su today on the Awaken Feminine podcast. Allie is a pharmacist, acupuncturist, artistic scientist, and forever student of traditional Chinese medicine. She is the co-creator of Global Pharmacy Entrepreneurs and the genius CEO behind Unicorn Fart Media. I love that name. And I know she has so much love and wisdom to share with us. She's a fellow Aussie joining me from Brisbane. Welcome to the show, Allie.
Thank you, Kaki, for having me. Hello, everyone.
I'm so excited because we've got lots to talk about. But before we dive in the conversation, can you please share with us what your definition is of an awakened feminine?
Yeah, great question. I think it's a forever journey of self-realization, enlightenment, also a form of it's a destination. Also, there's a journey of constant self-love and self-reconciliation and self-identity on the way. I think we're constantly moving. The world, the universe is constantly moving. So it's, yeah. Well, I guess I don't have a definition of it. So it's a forever evolving.
Yeah.
I like the word evolve. But for us to evolve, we need to be awakened first.
Yes. Yeah, that is your definition. All the parts that you've mentioned make up the awakened feminine. So thank you for sharing that. Now, Allie. So Allie and I met in 2020 and we were both doing Marie Forleo's B School. And we had a little pharmacy, like there's only a few pharmacists that go outside the pharmacy norm and, start their own business and all that. And we were one of them. And there was a group of us. Most of the other girls, I think, were in Europe and USA. So I've watched Allie's journey to her, awakened self from 2020. And we recently caught up and I was like, you just need to come on my podcast. We need to talk about all the things because, oh my goodness, like the shifts I've seen in Allie are just phenomenal. And it's only been 2.5 years really since we met each other. So Allie, can you first of all, share a bit more about, all the amazing things that you do and why you do what you do?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing journey. It started from during 2020 in lockdown when I was really frustrated, lost, and feeling isolated, physical isolation as well as mental and emotional isolation. So I decided to reach out. I wanted to connect with like-minded humans where I can find them, which is online. And it was really exciting. The energy, I was really drawn to the energy of Marie Forleo, the way she speaks and she brings out all these guests and she has her very unique, online business school style, feminine, bright colors, beautiful. I love all these bits and pieces, which I love. And for me, feel like I was born in Shanghai, China, so brought up in a traditional Chinese family. Everything is really, you got to be proper. You got to do things properly, go to school, do well at school, and graduate and get a job, which I did. And 10 years after working as a pharmacist, realized I wasn't sure who I am. Like, I don't have my own. I feel like, I'm just a blank. Like my world is very gray. When I saw Marie Forleo's colors, her how she dressed and how her furniture, everything online in her interview room, everything is so bright and the energy is really bright. I was naturally drawn to it. And then I realized, well, okay, there's something is different in her that I feel like I'm yet to discover. And I feel like inside, I'm really colorful. Inside, I'm a different person compared to my inside, to my lifestyle, to how I lived my life as a pharmacist. So I'm really curious. I think that's one thing about me. I'm very curious about things. So I started to just to talk to people and start to, as a pharmacist, I want to know other pharmacists. So I started to interview people. I mimic Maria Folio, her interview style. So I just invited people to come on the show, and got to know a lot of pharmacists all over the world. And then back then, because everybody is in lockdown, it was great. I was able to even talk to the Broadway actors and talk to NASA scientists, host events, and talk to even UN ambassadors and just all sorts of different people from different walks of life. I guess that was the beginning of my awakening, a beginning of my realization of, hey, I'm not just physically here in Brisbane, Australia. I'm everywhere. I can be anywhere in the world. I can be doing anything. And at that point, I've realized for a long time, I've lost my passion, or I've lost the spark in me. I feel like my day-to-day job is the same. I'm doing everything correctly, but I've sort of lost myself, who I really am. What I'm going to do for the rest of my life, is that going to be same thing? And also just those questions and start to pop up. And I wanted to use the isolation time as an experiment. I want to use it to experiment my life in a way. I want to try different things. I want to now, I have the financial security. I have a job that I can go out and do things that, sparks my interest. And little, like, now I know it was the beginning of my journey of realizing who I am. I don't know, I've lost track. I've completely forgot the question.
I was asking you why you do what you do. So you're just talking about your journey, and I love everything you've told me so far. So, going from a pharmacist, how did you end up also being an acupuncturist and into traditional Chinese medicine?
Yeah. So I'm the fourth generation in a medical family. My great-grandfather was a master of Chinese medicine. He was quite famous back in China. It was a long, long time ago. So it was always like a influence inside of me. Growing up, I would, use Chinese medicine. And my dad also studied both Chinese medicine and Western medicine. So all the technique, tuina, the Chinese massage, that's what we would do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of these well-being, like wellness things we do at home is to prevent diseases. It's like a second nature to us. You probably know, being Asian background. If you have a headache, you press on a certain point to headaches be gone. Or if starting a cold, you will have something to drink or press on certain points, then it will actually help you to relieve it. You're back on track the next day. So that's something always, inside of, I know as second nature. What I really, the point where I really wanted to study it is when after working for so long as a pharmacist, I've seen patients day in and day out not to actually get any cure or not feeling better. But also for me as a healthcare professional, I myself feel extremely tired and fatigued, end up having chronic fatigue. And there was, my own health was going through a really difficult period. That's when I realized, hey, there's something not right here. I guess that's when I went to visit a Chinese medicine master, and I actually asked, can I follow you around? Can I study Chinese medicine. I want to learn it properly, not just the bits and pieces I know from growing up. And yeah, well, I was harassing that person, and he said, well, why don't you do a proper course? And he was testing me. He's like, well, you got to write me an article why you want to do Chinese medicine. I have to test you whether your Chinese is good enough. I have to write this article in Chinese. That was a really traditional Chinese medicine master. It's really strict because he wanted me to read all the ancient text. He said, if your Chinese is not good enough, then I won't accept you. I was going through all the hurdles, and then until he said, why don't you just go and do a proper course they have in at university. So I thought, yeah, that's a good idea, because for me to learn from him, I had to quit my job. I have to just learn wholeheartedly, follow him around in the clinic. So I decided to do a university degree while working as a pharmacist. And yeah, since the beginning of the degree until now, it has been a great journey alongside of my own self-experimenting, different things, my own interests. And it's like open a Pandora box inside of me just to experiment. I went crazy, like things like completely different, like unicorn fart media was completely different to, what was I doing? Like I was doing back then. It was all pink, bright, yellow. It was, a lot of experimenting with my life. I enjoy that. And I think a lot of time by the time you finish university, a lot of people feel it's actually really hard to step outside of comfort zone to actually experiment, to do things completely differently to what you've done in the past. So I have benefited from this, but also now I've gone even more crazier, doing in Chinese, going into media, broadcasting, going to voice acting, and it took me on a different path. So, but which is interesting because I always had the artistic side in my family. Like my great-grandfather was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, but also he's a artist. He paints, like when he was in his 90s, he's stood up, paint for hours using the Chinese calligraphy, the black and white artwork, and Chinese calligraphy. But also my grandfather, who was a Western medicine doctor, professor in Western medicine, and his hobby was singing, opera singing and music. And my dad also has that artistic side. And my aunt, his uncles, they were artists in Paris. And so we have this artistic side in the family. And I noticed this from very young age when I was younger, but I constantly was torn between the medicine and the arts, because there's different way of thinking. It was like a struggle for me. I felt like I would constantly fight myself inside, deciding which path to take.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was really difficult to pursue the art career because it's not like considered a proper job. It's not considered a stable job. So now it's perfect time for me to experiment with that. Yeah.
I love everything you're saying because it's just like, wow, I think like all Chinese families are the same. Just the upbringing, the culture, and how, we think like, artists are like, no, don't go and be an artist, you're going to die starving from doing that. But I just love that, in your family, there is that artistic side and there is that, I suppose you can say more logical medicine side. But when I was talking to you before, I remember you talking about Chinese medicine, and it really is about flow, is about connecting with the energies and different things like that. not just, like, oh, this is what you have, and then we'll prescribe you something. Like Western medicine is very much looking at that whole person's energy and what's going on, and then prescribing accordingly to suit their body, their energy makeup as well. So I get it makes sense to me, like just listening as I was talking to as you were talking, that your grandfather, being a traditional Chinese medicine master, would also have that creative side, because it's needed for him to have that flow of energy, because creativity is a flow of energy. That's what was coming up as you were talking. So it makes a lot of sense to me. I want to ask you, what has been the experience with you? Are you still practicing as a pharmacist or not really?
Oh, I'm registered as a pharmacist. I'm not currently practicing in the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Working as a community pharmacy, no. But I'm working as a podcast host for pharmacists.
Yeah. What has been your family and even your friends' reception to you moving away from being like a practicing pharmacist to doing a podcast and doing traditional Chinese medicine and doing all the things like voice acting and all the stuff that you're doing, in the Chinese community?
Well, you have asked the right question. I get nagged constantly. Even my dad yesterday was saying, why are you wasting so much time doing all this voice acting? And because every time when I record, I have to, if I'm at my parents' house, I have to ask them to be quiet. And they're like, they get really annoyed. They're like, what are you doing? You're not focused. You got to be focused. And, why you're not wasting your time, wasting your life doing things. You have too many hobbies and you're wasting your time. I get this comment constantly. Now I've connected with online world. I've connected with like-minded people. Like Gary Vee does million things. And then a lot of people who are, talented and have interest in different things. You have proven that you can do things differently. You can do different things. In a way, I think it complements each other. For me, in the voice acting, speaking more in Chinese has helped me to connect with my root and also connect with the ancient Chinese culture. Because that's part of me I felt that was missing ever since I, moved with my family to Australia, is that traditional, that ancient connection, the philosophy, the way of life. And I always have this big question I want to find out, what did they do 1,000 years ago? Why all these scholars or all this, Western scholars are really interested in this ancient Chinese culture? Why is it so special? And as a Chinese descendant, I don't know anything about it, and I want to find out. And I want to, and I think the Chinese language is amazing, like it's work of art. How and I want to be able to pick that up and be able to speak fluent Chinese and read Chinese text and find out the culture and the history myself and make the connection myself. I think language has when you speak Chinese or when you speak English, you have a completely different mindset. You're in a different world when you speak different languages. So it's part of me very curious and want to find out more. And because I started to speak more Chinese, I was able to connect with people through WeChat and be able to learn from masters. So I have an 𝐀𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐞 master now, communicate fully in Chinese and learning 𝐀𝐥𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐞, which is the basic foundation of all Chinese medicine, of all Chinese culture, which has led so many ways, realization into many things. So I think for me, these are the dots that connecting different parts and different like, I don't know, different subjects or different courses or completely different things, like art. I Ching is connecting the art and feng shui, or connecting, meditation, yoga, connecting philosophy, connecting psychology. Man, I love that. We're not segregated anymore. We are whole.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about this Chinese medicine concept, is you are a whole human being. You're a whole. You're not separate from your heart, your lungs, your kidney, or your liver. And we look at you as a whole. But from my own training, from my bachelor degree, it was, let's look at things separately. I think it's a very different approach. Again, it's like speaking Chinese and speaking English. You're in different worlds and you see the world differently. There's no point to compare one another. I just accept that, hey, allowing that we can live differently, we can think differently. And it's together, coming together makes us stronger as human race. So I really enjoy spending time, as my dad said, mucking around. But I really see amazing connections. And it has been a great journey.
Yeah, I love that. It's always interesting what you get from parents, because they're just like, what are you doing? You are a pharmacist, you are, in such a respectable career, and why are you throwing it all away to do these things that we don't understand? Is because they don't understand, and they were brought up, that way. But it's great that you are just, so passionate and just doing what you're doing. Can I ask you how old you were when you moved to Australia?
15.
15. Okay. So
Yeah.
your Chinese would have been quite good still, at 15. Yeah. Not like me when I came here at before I turned 6. So my Chinese is pretty terrible.
Yeah. I'm glad that it was my speaking gone downhill because of, if you're not using it, your vocabulary has lost. And also China has changed, really quickly in the past how many years. So you have to catch up on the culture and different way of speaking now. But it's very interesting. What I wanted to say about being a pharmacist, one thing I actually found really difficult to overcome, it took me a long time to overcome this, is since I studied as pharmacy and became a pharmacist, I always felt my pharmacy is my identity. I would introduce myself to other people as, hi, I'm Allie, I'm a pharmacist. And I realized just simple way of introduction has has put me into this identity. Pharmacist is my identity. Allie is pharmacist. But I realized, no, I'm not. Allie is not pharmacist. Allie is way more than pharmacy. Allie is way more than a pharmacist. And I felt restricted in my mind for so long, and realized, well, I don't have to, what I don't have to be restricted. Yeah, I'm proud of being a pharmacist. I want to support all my pharmacist friends and colleagues, but I'm not going to stop discovering who I am, the rest of me, the rest of who I am only stuck in, I'm a pharmacist. So I feel like as soon as I moved away from this limiting belief, I start to branch out, and I feel okay about it. I don't know why there's sense of judgment when I decided to introduce myself other than I'm a pharmacist. I don't know where that's coming from. It definitely a limiting belief from somewhere. But I started practicing calling myself different things. And I realized it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what we call ourselves. It's, anyway, so that was the point. And also, another thing is, being a pharmacist, I have the registration now working as an acupuncturist. When I see patients with multiple medications, it's a great skill set to have to help me identify drug interactions for them. And a lot of time, all the elderly patients, they're confused. They don't know what their medication or new medication, they're having side effects, or initially when they start taking medications, not feeling discomfort. I am actually be able to help those patients because I was a pharmacist, because my knowledge as a pharmacist. So I think it's my past experience and present and future experience will add up, and I become this whole identity, be able to do things, help many people as what I want.
Yeah. I love that. And I can tell you, I went through the same thing with that pharmacist identity. And for me, because I think how many years was I a pharmacist? I was a pharmacist for over 16 years. So it was like a part of me died. I was grieving, and it was very hard to let go of that identity of being a pharmacist. And what you were saying before, when you're like, I don't know where it came from, why I had to, link myself to being a pharmacist. It's what we've been programmed, like, oh, it's a prestigious, occupation. It makes you respectable. It makes people think higher of you, even though you might not have been told explicitly those things. We just tend to go, oh, pharmacist, oh, you must be really smart. So it's all these things that you kind of maybe receive from osmosis, not even like someone actually saying it in your ear. And you then go, oh, I'm a pharmacist, and a pharmacist means all these things. So then we're like, oh, let's just hold on to that because we're a better person if we're a pharmacist. Whereas like if I say, oh, I'm 𝐀𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐞, I'm a podcast host, they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's just that how society sees the differences. So that's what came up for me as you were talking about, not limiting belief. Yeah. But I just love that. And I love that you're now like a bridge between this Western medicine and traditional Chinese medicine. And like you were saying before with the languages, we can speak Chinese and you can speak English, but we can still coexist together and create a better world, because when you actually understand each other, we can be stronger and do things together in a better way, because there's so many different perspectives that we can gather. So I love that you are now like, you've got your pharmacy and then you've got your traditional Chinese medicine, and, you can help people in those ways. I don't ever regret that I was a pharmacist. It was just that was just our journey. And, if otherwise I wouldn't have met you if you weren't a pharmacist and I wasn't a pharmacist. So all these things, like you say, it's like connect the dots. I love it.
I think this journey also, talking about starting the global pharmacy entrepreneur, because I feel like I like different things. I felt I was entrepreneurial. I felt I was different to other pharmacists. So, and that's why I want to connect with people, that's like-minded. And I felt on this entrepreneur journey, I've realized what entrepreneur really sort of within entrepreneur category, there are different entrepreneurs. They're all like it's like you have a different personality, or you can be doing different things. And this is also a journey for me to realize who I really am. I think instead of finding a venture or finding a business or doing the business, I've gained more knowledge about myself, my personality, and what I really like. I felt like in the past there's layers and layers of really heavy self-limiting belief have restricted myself. Now I've opened up, and so now through this journey I've realized more what I really enjoy doing. That's beautiful. And also very interesting thing, I've heard from Ling, or another influencer on LinkedIn, who talked about finding mentors, because that was a big thing for me. I wanted to find mentors to help me to understand, help me to to have, get into different opportunities or explore different parts of the world. But then I realized all the mentor has led me to what they are doing. But the more important thing is actually realizing who I really am, what I want to do with my life, and then find the mentor, or mentor will actually appear when you actually know what you want to do, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
That's it. When the students are ready. And the mistake I've made in the past was I was, the moment I realized I can unleash myself, I can, be set into the world, I was hungry and craving for help. I was looking for mentors, and then realized I've been dragged to different areas and different directions. And that's when I realized it's because I didn't know who I am. For so long, I was suppressed in a way, or not allowed for me to actually go out and discover who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that took a long time for me to realize that and start to experiment. I think at the start was actually difficult. I'm like, oh, well, this is so foreign. It's like a foreign land. But now, okay, I'm better friends with myself now. Like, I understand myself a lot better. I mean, it's a long journey through a lot of self-healing, self-love, and, we talked about that before. But definitely worth it, even though it's hard work, but it's worth it.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the mentor piece, because I think when you start out as an entrepreneur, or even just start out on this kind of self-discovery journey, you do kind of go, oh, that shiny object. It's like, oh, that person's doing the things I want, or, and you get really confused, and people do tend to take you to where they've been to, but it doesn't quite, sit with you. So I just love that, you realize that is like, oh, I need to find out what I want. And then I can, the mentor that will suit what I want will appear, or at least you will know, okay, well, that person's not the right person. You can discern a lot better. So that's such great advice for people that are starting on this journey, and they, getting shiny object syndrome, and because Facebook ads, they're just like, yeah, come talk to me. So really finding the right person, really being in alignment. And Allie, I want to ask you this question. So now that you've gone and done so much work on yourself, if I were to ask you, if you were meeting me for the first time, how would you introduce yourself?
Oh, hi, I'm Allie.
Hi.
That's it. I guess, yeah. Now I've realized that I was on this. It was like I took myself too seriously before. In the past, it's like I have certain expectation how I want to be treated. But now I feel that I'm more flexible in a way of whoever I talk to. And I've noticed that because when I speak Chinese, people in China will have, come from different walks of life, have different personalities in different way. It's I've learned to be more flexible in a way I talk to people, or who I am as well, because there's so many I have so many interests. Instead of have this rigid image of myself, I'm now just, hey, I even have different names, like because online you have different voice actors. You use your special name for your performance. And I realized, because that's all part of acting, part of it, there's parts of you you access, and you get to talk to different people and connect different people on a different level. I know it's not like fake, but it's like the real you, but just connect with that person on their level. And in the past, compared to in the past, I realized I only have this face, and I took myself seriously. So I only deal with people in this particular sort of sphere, or this space. if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's all, yeah.
So now you introduce yourself in the way that feels right in that particular moment with that particular person.
I think it's more connect with my heart.
Yeah.
What I've realized, big lesson is, yes, the world will have shiny objects. The world will tell you, well, this is, status, money, it's amazing, great opportunity, blah, blah. But does that actually connect with me? Like, is that actually me? I think it will cost you a lot more if you just chase the material, the tangible things, neglecting how you feel, neglecting your inner voice. And yeah, that's what I've there's a quote I put on Facebook yesterday. Not sure whether
you're like, I've forgotten.
Yeah. So it's a concept, it's a philosophy of Wu Wei. Wu Wei, it's like a Taoist concept. It's like just when you lose yourself, just like in Christianity, in the Bible, it tells is when you lose your way, you'll find it. It's the same in a Taoist philosophy.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it also connects to when I was younger, I felt like I had to prove myself. I have to prove myself, prove to my mom and dad that I can do, I can achieve, I can get all these degrees, all these papers, I can publish all these articles, I can, but now it's like, for me to find my true calling and journey, it's letting go. It's when you're not focusing on all these outside things and focus on the inner self, your inner voice, that's when you're truly connected to the next thing you will do actually makes your heart sing. And that's like amazing when you're doing things that fully connects with you. If everybody does that, then you won't have any health or emotionals or all these issues that practitioner you have to find other people to help you with. So that's also part of the journey of learning. I've tried to experiment on this over and over, is when I feel like, oh, this is a great opportunity, oh, this is fun, like when I choose things based on all that, the worldly value, and that disconnects with my heart, that's when I will regret later on and goes sour somehow. Like, yeah. But if I can't see, even though I can't see the results, so I can't see any benefit for me now, but I'm in the moment, connect with my soul, connecting with myself, over time, it actually brings me to another place that makes me happy and connects all the dots together.
I love that. I love that, Allie. Yeah.
That takes a lot of that
trust.
moment, that split second. Yeah, it takes trust. Like that split second decision.
Yeah.
But it's like a muscle we have to train ourselves over and over.
Yes, it's so much trust. And I love that you like bringing trusting that even though you don't see the results right now, then you still do it because it lights you up. It makes you happy. It's what your soul, your soul's like, oh, I'm so happy you're doing this, rather than going, oh, that what I was told that is a good thing to do, and doing it even though it's completely misaligned. So it's just such a great reminder for everyone listening or watching this that, at the end of the day, like you say, when we don't listen to our soul, things turn sour, or we just have to go back around and start again. It always kind of goes back and we have to do the whole thing again. Yeah. I want to ask you, Allie, for people who lack trust in those split moment decisions, or lack trust in themselves being able to align with their soul and their heart, what they want, what advice would you give them to get them to start, being in that alignment?
I think, yeah, there's like two steps. One is to connect. I think without connecting yourself, then you won't be able to make decisions down the track. Making decisions is the second phase. First phase is we call it 觉, is feel. You know, if it's hot, you actually feel hot. But majority of people, you'd be surprised. Or diabetic patient when on their foot ulcers because they can't feel.
Yeah.
They lost that sensation. And same as our soul, we are so numb to things from the outside. We're just, you know, in the Chinese, or this Chinese master will say, you're like 行尸走肉 in Chinese. You're like a dead corpse walking around because you can't feel, you don't have any spirit alive. So first thing is to practice feeling, reconnect with yourself, and clearly identify what's the external world and what's your internal world. Have you actually spent time with your internal world? Do you know what your internal world is like? I mean, we get exposed to external world all the time. They're invading our space. They're invading my mind, invading my heart, my, you know, all senses. But you know, inside your inner space is extremely important. That's when all your decisions, your connections, and how Chinese medicines and meridians connects and meditation, you know, all that. You can use different methods to help you to reconnect with yourself. Once you're more connected with yourself, when it's hot, you feel hot. When other people are abusing you, you actually feel the anger rather than feel numb. You know, it's so common that, you know, you actually get abused by a lot of people, or, you know, in any senses, or when you should be really happy, and then you become numb, you don't feel anything. So yeah, once you have, I mean, everything's connected with your health, you know, health, psychology, emotions, you know, again, everything's connected. Your feeling, once you have that feeling, then you'll be able to assess when situation comes in your way. Then you can then ask your inner world and decide how you feel. Then you can make that decision. And it takes practice. It can be wrong, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You just know. Let's get it right. And it takes courage. I think it takes a lot of courage to say no to things that your family, your friends, the whole society think it's an amazing opportunity, but doesn't align with you.
Yeah. I love everything that you've said, Allie. Thank you. And yes, I love that you started off with connecting with yourself, with the feelings, because so, like you say, so many of us are so numb because we're not happy. So we numb ourselves. So, but when we numb ourselves to one emotion or two emotions, we numb ourselves to all emotions, including our happiness and joy and, you know, all those things. So I just love that. And then trusting. And I love that you said, doesn't matter if you got it wrong. You know, you're building that muscle. So next time you're like, oh, okay, right. That, you know, I did that last time. Let's do it the, you know, trusting way this time, kind of, because we do get in our heads and that's just humans. So I just love everything that you mentioned. Thank you for sharing that. And courage, so much courage.
Yeah. Yes. But once you've done a couple of times, the first time is always the hardest. But again, that's what we're here for, people who's done it. I mean, there's more and more people in the world that are awakening, have experienced all that, have made the right choice or wrong choices, and they will tell you their experience.
Yeah.
And so you're not alone anymore. There's so many of us standing up, awakening.
Yeah.
And this oh, I've lost my train of thought. I really want to talk about emotions.
Yeah.
How from health again, I'm a healthcare professional. So your emotions, your anger, your fear, your joy, your sadness, your worry connects with your organs in Chinese medicine. Like your anger connects with the liver, your fear connects with kidney, your joy connects with the heart, and sadness connects with the lung, worry connects with spleen. So if you're really angry, then it's a sign of, oh, something is going on. Liver, as in the Chinese medicine liver, it's different to Western medicine. So it's also when you are completely aligned with yourself, then your emotions actually be able to use as a diagnosis, be reflection of what's inside. Will be a lot more accurate.
Yeah.
Versus when you're numb, then you can't tell. No one. Yeah. It's difficult to tell.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I think you have to edit this episode. I'm like, oh my god, in my head I have like 10 or 50,000 connections I draw, but I'm like, wait, I can't talk about it. No, I'm on one tangent. Because everything's connected. All these things are connected, and I just can't help it. It connects with the psychology. You know how anger, fear, that's and also it connects with the pain. You feel the anger, you feel the pain, that's emotions, but you have the physical symptoms. So it's, a lot of people can't feel it. And I was one of those people, and I felt like, I just felt sad. I just felt, I don't know how, initially I couldn't even describe how I feel. I don't know when to use the word joy, excitement, and different level of your emotions. Maybe I feel this. Maybe it was really interesting how I didn't know how to describe my feelings.
And we're so limited with the how we describe feelings as well, because we have limited how we felt. So we only know like the basic ones. I feel sad, I feel anger, but then there's all these things in between, like frustration and anxiety and all these different things that you can describe how you're feeling. But a lot of times when we don't know how to feel, it's like we're just like, oh yeah, happy, sad, angry.
That's it.
So I really want to actually talk to you all about like Chinese medicine and Western medicine. I think that's a complete conversation for another time, but I just loved our conversation and just hearing about your journey. And I know you get very passionate when you talk about, your Chinese medicine and things like that and how it's all connected. So I would love to talk to you a bit more about that on another episode, because I'm just looking at the time. So Allie, I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up. That is, what is setting your soul on fire right now?
Think is healing. Healing is a big word. Healing, just healing. Since I was really young, I know I'm in the business of healing. But then healing connects in so many things. Healing, we talk about chakras and communication. I think now more and more specific in the world healing, more in the communication connection for me is what I'm doing in different languages, in podcasting or broadcasting, to be able to connect with people, connect concepts, connect psychology, philosophy, sociology with health. That connection is, and art is a great form that connects with everything. And that's why I'm sort of in the art, I'm calling myself this artistic scientist, because I love when you're in art world, everybody turn up, so that's what I don't know, everything. I'm on fire. These keywords, I'm on fire about them. But then I think main thing is that connection. Connection will bring healing to this universe, to this planet, and to human race.
Thank you for that, Allie. I'm so excited for everything that you're doing. You're amazing. And I love that, you're just constantly curious and exploring and, awakening more and more of yourself, and, you know, just more and more self-discovery. So I've loved watching your journey, and I'm just sitting on the sidelines, continue to watch your journey. So thank you so much. Allie, if people want to learn more about you, or how, they can work with you or collaborate with you, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, 𝐀𝐥𝐥𝐢𝐞, or Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram. I can put the link down below for people to connect with me. Yeah, I'd love to collaborate and find like-minded people.
Yeah. I'll have all your details in the show notes so people can reach out to you. And I'm, so grateful to spend this time with you. Thank you once again, Allie, for your time and sharing your love and wisdom with us.
Thank you, Kaki.
Bye.
Bye.